Now, over to pages 62 and 63, with the only two-page version of the feature called Adventures, Scrapes, and Misdemeanours. Never seen. Never seen. This column is about the slingshot-related adventures you got into as a kid. Nobody can make your mistakes for you, but if you do learn vicariously right here what things can get you into terrible real trouble, then just maybe some younger readers might not do it even in a moment of devilment. In any case, all this will perforce have to be about a land long ago and far, far away. Well, not that far actually, as the wood is still there, right next to where I went to school for 9 years. Overprivileged but miserable as the place was, a factory churning out entrants for Oxford and Cambridge universities, the only way such schools were ever judged back then. I'm a lover of the outdoors and natural history, and like Charlie Darwin and Gerald Durrell, I had this strong urge to possess, to collect and keep specimens. I fished and I wanted to hunt. A bit tough for a suburban lad growing up in sight of Wembley Stadium's twin dome-topped towers. Still, famous fisherman John Wilson did too. But I'm also a voracious reader. My mama wrote a lot of books, and I inherited the love of them. Before I was off to secondary school, I read the lovely tale for children of the last gnomes in Britain called The Little Grey Men that starts, "This is a story about the last gnomes in Britain." They're honest-to-goodness gnomes, none of your baby fairy book tinsel stuff, and they live by hunting and fishing like the animals and birds, which is only proper and right. Oh, and I loved that. It won the Carnegie Medal when it came out. Then I found Brendan Chase at my stifling public school's library. Same writer, but about 3 public school boys who run away and live in the woods. They nick the gardener's .22 rifle, but also take a catapult. It's old, but a brilliant read. That book has inspired generations of schoolboys to run away to the woods. I wanted to as well, as I looked out of the window in geography lessons. I could see the wood's edge all along the top pitches, the all-weather pitch, and the distant soggy rugby fields. The trees overhung the fence, their shades of green mocking my captivity. One misty September morning I was gazing out of the window instead of concentrating upon geography, and saw something that made my thumbs itch. For along with the gulls, crows and pigeons, and even a moorhen or two from the school's own old wooded moats, there were a dozen pheasants on the rugby pitch, milling around near the fence. I can see them now. I decided I needed to hunt one. The oppressive school siren went whew at last, and I got out of there. I scurried downstairs and out, along the buildings until they ended, and off along our own school wood's edge to see the field covered in game. The school campus was huge, with 2 wooded parts. This meant that straying birds were often on our side of the pheasant reserve's fence. But now I was about to appear on the field and walked out of the trees. I had no idea what I was doing, but the pheasants seemed a bit daft. I had herded geese in our back garden back into their pen at night for years, so they were my mum's idea of guard honkers. I avoided all the holes in the fence that I knew about and tried to drive one against the chain link. The pheasant went up to the wire and poked its head through the chain link and pushed. It didn't work. So it pulled its head out and tried another, comically doing this again and again as I got closer, 7 feet away before finally exploding off sideways in a mad blur of wings. I was exhilarated. Within days had recruited my mate, who tried to double herd against the fence with me as a team. It still didn't work. Flap! Then I bought a deadshot catapult. The excitement and joy of possession was intense. I practiced in my dad's garage with airgun darts and a dartboard until I ruined the bull in the middle and made some odd perforations in the steel garage door, upsetting my dad. I collected small round stones and sometimes used marbles. Marbles and a bullet hole in a window were what caused a policeman to come to the house one day, but that's another story. And one day I did finally get my quarry, and in later years I got better at it. I upgraded to a Goliath with the pouch-only bindings, and each pheasant I smote on the head with a pebble and got its own tiny notch filed into the edge of the frame. Then I got a Whammo Power Master, and boom, I was silicone-powered, new rubber. On a Friday, we finished school early, and either did combined cadet force, Army, Navy, RAF, marching and stuff, not me, or something worthy called SSU. I was part of the terrible hospital radio group that sent god-awful tapes to the local places to get them to go home early, I think. Then After a term on the newspaper fund paper bailing detail, I managed to persuade the teachers that I wanted to run a natural history recording group. This was my cover. That and the fact that the teacher in charge, a miss about to marry the head of physics, after getting physical we all reckoned, was distracted and bored, and I could blither endlessly about my idea. My geography teachers disliked me. The head of geography was in charge of SSU, Social Services Unit, and I was vile in return by getting an A grade A level after being rude about their science throughout my course. So nobody in charge ever suspected the gobby little fat boy, always muddy for some reason, would be a rascally poacher spending every single spare minute in the woods clean off school property, before school, after school, morning break and lunchtimes, always, and with 1,400 boys nobody wondered where just one had gone. Plus the anonymity for when I did once get seen by the keeper of one of so very many uniforms was a disguise, despite being fat. So we had a license to poach. We were the Nebo scene, a corruption of never seen, and mostly nobody did see us. Gav took pheasants home for his mum. I took a brace to give to the butcher I worked with inside Debenham's food hall as a Saturday boy deli assistant, and I took pheasant into general studies cookery lessons in the girls' school next door when I was in the sixth form. Mrs. Flashman told me I was gifted, as I told her the meat was rabbit. But all this came to a single joyous moment one field day. Yes, for one whole day term, your activity was all day. It was like Christmas to the Nebocene tribe. I had come armed with my tiny Optimus 96L backpacker stove and cookware, plus butter and spices and a plate, some bread and a knife and so forth. It was a golden, sunny autumnal day, and we had done well, hunting like ferals until we had pheasant flies inhabiting us from those leaving dying birds. Found when disrobing, they don't like people. I had been into the school and washed the 2 breasts of freshly hunted, still warm pheasant and returned to the backfield. I had fired up the stove, putting some butter in the billy fry pan. The roarer burner purred. The fat spat and crackled in the pan. The afternoon sun shone warmly. This was getting good. I'd waited a long time for this. At that moment, the recalcitrant idiot boys who volunteered for nothing and were put on litter detail came out of the school woods doing a full campus sweep. They looked hot and bored rotten. We were happy, and I recall seeing the pink breasts turn a rapid white as they fried before browning a tiny bit in the mild spice and butter. It smelled to heaven, and as these idiots approached, I could see their jealousy of our happy encampment. Matey and I just started to chuckle and then laugh more and more until I nearly coughed myself to bits. We laughed not because it was funny, but for the sheer and utter joy of life and winning at it just then. It was down to a catapult, and it was the single best moment of my entire childhood. I cherish it.